It's test week. Well, it's sort of test week because it's not. It's a non-test test, but it's still for I think most South Africans it is a test week. Starts in the international season. Starts in Cape Town this weekend. The Springboks taking on a very interesting and very talented Barbarian side. This and look in what looks like it's going to be a very rainy Cape Town. I've been seeing on social media a lot of videos of flooding cars and all sorts of weird stuff that you normally don't see in Cape Town. So it looks like very wet in Cape Town, and it's probably going to maybe dampen the Barbarian spirit a bit, and hopefully the Springboks will do that. But to talk about the game with me, who's here before the URC final, some valuable insights. It's the Sharks defense coach, Joey Mongalo, also former SA under-20 assistant coach. Lions under 20 coach. I'm trying to think what else I could call you, Joey. A bunch of that. He knows a bit about coaching and about defense. Let's put it that way. Welcome, Joey.
Thank you very much, Brendan. That's a very colorful introduction. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you always want to do somebody justice, especially for people who might not know you, who stumble upon this. So, but yeah, welcome. It's you made some good points in the URC final, and unfortunately, it didn't go the South African way. But you put up some good points there about how Jock Nienaber's defense system works, and unfortunately, it played out for Leinster. Not to my liking, I'll be very honest, but. I'm not going to venture into asking you if you think there's any merit in some of the stories that have come out afterwards about the Bulls, but we'll go straight right into the test match.
That's a wise call.
Joey, just on that the test match this week, it's a very strange game. It's not your normal test. There's obviously a bit of romanticism around the Barbarians and the way they play and the way the weeks are usually structured. The social media game is top class. It seems to be a little bit of fun and banter between the players. But down to the serious part of the stuff, when they run on that field, they're going to want to give the Boks a good going. And especially with Sam Cane and Peter Mahoney, so they're leaders in the group. They're certainly going to want to put up a good thing. So I think maybe let's start off with just on that side. It was the sides that were picked. Let's start with the Springbok side. What was your thoughts on the Springbok side that was picked?
Brendan, I think it's a really good team on form. There's a lot of good form players, but also a good mix of up and coming Springboks and core Springboks. It's almost like how the Australian cricket team always used to play their next best batsman at number 6. So you've got these 5 batsmen around them and he's 6. So it's similar. If you can think about Vincent Koch starting at 7, he's got JL at 8, who had the privilege of coaching at the SAA side, and then Sia at 6. So if he's ever struggling in the game, you can just look left and in front of him, and he's got men who've been there before will help him through the game. Sasha's got 1 or 2 more caps than what Krapi has. So there's the sense that wherever there's an inexperienced guy or a growing Springbok, there's growth and established and mature Springboks in and around him. So it's a great mix, and you can see how there's a dilemma which I think the Springbok coaches are really dealing well with. There's a sense that there's our aging Springboks who might get to 2027 or might not, but there's also a core group of guys who need to get to 2027, be their best. So how do you get test matches into guys who will be at their best in 2027, and how do you not take away too many test matches for guys might not make 2027? So I just want to compliment obviously their planning and their leadership in that space. But an exciting team, a very exciting team, especially excited about the 9 and 10 combination. Morne van der Berg is a good pass and kick off the ball, but he's got the ability to run with the ball, and I think Sasha as well, he showed with the Stormers towards the back end of the season, he's got magic touches in him.
Yeah, I was quite interested to see Rossi saying this week about Sasha that maybe sometimes he just needs to learn that he doesn't need to try and create magic all the time. And I suppose that's part of the thing of being a young player, where you've got this confidence and the self-belief, and you feel that that's your job. But from a coaching point of view, it must be difficult when you've got a player that's got so much X factor to try and tell him to listen. Sometimes just do the status quo thing, the thing that's going to get you out, the proper exit. Just do the safe thing.
Yep. And I think it's funny that probably a generation ago, a guy like that was seen as we looked at more his not an error rate, his X factor rate, and we thought that made us nervous. But it feels like in this generation, there's a sense that you value those guys and you're willing to coach them rather. The percentage plays, and then the magic will happen by himself. And as you say, the more he plays in the green and gold, the more he plays for the Stormers, that thing will even itself out. But if I'm a defense coach playing against him, it's a scary prospect because you just know in him he's got something over and above the system that could break you. So I think it's a nice problem to have for the guys who are coaching him at the moment.
Yeah, no, I was going to say mentioned Vincent Koch there. You coach him at the Sharks there. He's one hell of a baller. Him and his brother. And just maybe your thoughts on him and what he can offer. He's obviously an extra line-out option, and he's a guy who's very mobile around the park and could easily have been a back as well. Yeah, he's physical. Maybe some insights on him.
Yeah, we go back a long way. In 2016, I was the head coach of the Lions under 19s, and we were running out of players at a stage, Brendan. So we went to watch UJ and Wits play against each other in under 19 club match. And it's funny enough that Morne van der Berg played in that game and Vince played in that game. So myself, Neil de Bruin, and Philip Lemmer saw those two, and we pulled them into our squad that went on to win under 19 Currie Cup. So we've come a long way. And I would say, he's like the perfect combination of physicality, skill, and effort. Like he's just got them. Like the genes, the genetics are there to be incredibly physical, but then to be just as athletic as he's physical. And I didn't coach him that because I always shouted at him for throwing offloads when he was under 19s because he threw them everywhere. But he's sort of got that skill set that he's worked into his game. So I'm really happy for him that it's been a journey of going from nothing pretty much in rugby, working your way all the way through the system to the point now where you're at the upper echelons of South African rugby. So I'm excited to see what he brings. I just think he's going to definitely have a lot of actions in the game and a lot of telling actions in the game. I've seen him for the Sharks make a tackle, get up, make another one, and then make a cross-cover tackle. So he gets into positions that few people are able to get into. So I'm super excited to see how he unleashes playing with 7 other forwards who will give him the platform to be himself.
Yeah, and you speak about that. You speak about the lines there. Another one that's come through the lines there, and it was also part. And I think if we're going to go look I can't remember the exact figures, but we go look at that Lions team that was victorious with Asenati came through. There's a couple of those guys. I think Morne was also in that team at one stage. But that team starting to deliver Springboks, and you were involved at that stage at the Lions as well. It must be great for you to see the big guy come through. Asa, there's been a lot of talk this week about him on Himmon's farm. Come the whole Don drought, as they called it, that he had to go through. But yeah, he's a player that I think anybody who watches his game closely will know that he makes as much, what's the word I'm looking for, moments in a game as any backline player and any loose forward. He's incredibly mobile around the field for such a big guy. And it's just great to see him get his chance. And again, as you said a bit earlier, 2 World Cup winners alongside him, two World Cup winners behind him. That must be great for a youngster like that to start a test like that.
100%, Brennan. I'll start with a bit of history. So, firstly, Bart Schoeman was the guy at the Lions who was recruiting the juniors at the time, and he did a fantastic job with those guys. And Asenati went to St. Stithians. He was a loose forward back in the day. So, the fact that people speak about his ability to have touches, sense of the game, is because he played in a position like that. So that gives context to why he gets into the right parts of the game. And then, obviously, just again a master stroke of how the Springbok coaches are so clear on what they want, and a product or a resource that somebody else could see as invaluable or maybe overweight. They've said, okay, no, we're going to find a special way because we see you tick the boxes that maybe other people don't value in you, but we value that in you. And just for him to go to Don's farm, I think it just says a lot about the type of leadership. Can you imagine working in a workplace and somebody is struggling with something, you decide, no, listen, come to my house for a day or two because I'm going to help you learn the skill set by being in that context. It's going to get you out of your context into a new context. And also, I think if you can think, Brendan, when he's driving in his car to Don's farm, he's thinking, yes, I'm going to do fitness. It's going to be tough, but something that these people care about me as a person. and they care about me as a player. So I won't be surprised tomorrow. Like you said, he's got Springboks all around him, established Springboks all around him, and then people who he knows care about him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out on Saturday and he has a man of the match performance, because he's been backed. It's one thing to be backed with your skill set, but when you be backed as a person as well, I think it just brings out the best in any individual.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's certainly going to be tested, and so I mean, and there's high standards in the Springbok team in terms of their scrumming. They use that as a platform, a huge part of their game, and so yeah, with guy like Ox there as well with him, they're certainly going to target the scrum, and they're going to be targeted themselves. So that's an interesting one to watch as well. On the Barbarians, you've seen now they've just named their team. There's as we were chatting before we started recording, there's a very much a Super Rugby flavor in it, and very much sort of with a couple of French players as well, and the one player, the winger from Uruguay, which is also an interesting one that's there as well. But
Yeah.
very interesting mix of players, and certainly one that, if they click, has got enough X factor to tear the Boks apart, and I say tear the Boks apart, but to make inroads.
Yeah, I think they've got enough there on talent, ability to at least bring a challenge. I think if we're just speaking about Asenati, he's got a scrum against Ken Healy, who's got, I don't know how many international caps, definitely over 100 caps. So that's the experience. So if you look at their tight five with David Ribbons and Ruben van Heerden, that tight five is a tight five that they're hoping will at least bring parity at set piece, because that's the one area, especially as you mentioned earlier, Brendan, that it's been raining in Cape Town, the conditions would be wet. So if you think of a wet game, it's likely that the set piece is going to play a massive role in that. And if they get blown away in that part of the game, it just has a ripple effect on the rest of the game. But if they can hold parity there, I think they'll back themselves to feel like, okay, we might have an opportunity here to cause an upset of some sort. But that is a core part they can't get away from. And then you've got key leaders. Shannon Frizzell is a really good player who can make a difference at the back of the scrum. Omani, the ex Munsterman, he's a massive winner. He wants to win. He's got massive character. So there's enough in that group that think, okay, they'll back themselves to do something special. They'll speak about how many other people have been on a field to be two-time world-time champion. So I think there'll be enough there, motivation-wise, experience enough for them to feel like they can do something. I personally don't think it'll be enough to take on the Springboks and cause an upset, but they will back themselves to do something. So it's a good team that they've put on paper there.
Yeah, I think that what makes this a bit different to the normal Barbarians games, which we normally see at the end of the rugby season and sort of end of year tours, is the fact that this is the beginning of the Boks season. So there's a lot of fundamentals that the Boks want to get in place. There's a lot of structure that they want for later in the season. And Rassie was this week talking about new things they want to try out. Tony Brown wants to try out. And obviously these, whatever they get right now, there's bigger tests that are coming, much bigger tests that are coming in Auckland this year, in Paris this year, in Dublin this year. That's when they want these things to flourish. So it's a very different mindset to the normal end of year tour. Well, this is just a bit of let's throw the ball around, last game of the season.
No, I think there are only so many test matches or internationals between now and 2027, and between now and those other big matches that you spoke about. So obviously the alignment caps that the Springboks would have had theoretically and in training that have worked on certain things, it will be such a massive plus point for their planning for now and for the next until the World Cup, if those things come off, in a real life situation and I think it'll be especially pleasing because you don't know what you're getting from the opposition. So if you are the defense coach, yes, yeah, I don't know, how do I forget what's his name's now? Jerry Flannery. So if you fly, you don't know what's coming, so, but it's a great opportunity to kind of think, okay, what do we look like system wise, irrespective of the attack that's going to come against us? And similar with Tony Brown, it's like, you don't know how they defend. They might sit softly off the line. They might rush off the line. They might be up and out system. So if you can get it right against opposition that you haven't had an opportunity to study, I think that'll be massive for the Springbok camp's confidence for sure.
And just on the defense, I was going to ask you about the defense then. How do you prepare for that? I suppose in a way, it's impossible to know what system. There's no footage. You can have an idea of the way Robbie Deans normally coaches his teams. and probably the mindset and the philosophy that he has gone through his career with in terms of teams. But you can't really know what they're going to do. And plus, I think people must also realize in a week like this, there's probably only one defensive session, if that, in a Barbarians context. And so they'll probably go with what's the easiest to implement in such a short time. But just from Robbie Dean's side, I mean, you've seen him before. What sort of philosophy, what key points can you pick up from that?
Yeah, Brendan, I was fortunate enough to do Crusader's leadership training program online, and he's a big part of that. And he's a big fan of a lot of collaboration between coaches and players. They're not really a hierarchical people. It looks like in New Zealand, it's very much a sharing. Players bring ideas, coaches bring ideas. So you can imagine that he'll probably feed off most of the players to hear what is the best of that they do in the environments and try to put that together into a collaborative environment for them to take forward. So I think that's the one thing. The other one is on the defensive side that you mentioned is this. Oh, sorry. The one more thing on Robbie Deans is such a almost a people first approach. So I think you'll get a sense that that week will be spent on guys getting to know each other, just get some kind of a feel so that when the pressure's on or it's really tough, that they can go something to psychologically that might keep them in the fight a bit longer. And then on the type of D, I'm just trying to think. It's more like you said, it's more New Zealanders, if anything, and some of the French teams, which are traditionally sides who are up and out on defense. That's sort of how I would almost try to think into, okay, what am I likely to get the makeup of the team and where the guys play most of the games. And you mentioned earlier, Brendan, about how guys are in season. That's probably what most of the guys would have been doing. So I think worst case, it's a really hard rush and then settle down and go up and out more than a out and out rush defense. I would think that defense will be that. And then also be built on guts and glory, like let's prove each other as to, like, let's say if I'm Peter Mani, I want to show these guys that I'm playing around for the first time that I'm actually high value player, if that makes sense. There's a lot of a personal thing to it. But I think structurally they might get undone because you do need more than 20 minutes of defense in a week to try to put something together that's cohesive on the weekend.
Just for people maybe watching who maybe aren't so sussed with the defensive terms, when you talk about an up and out, explain it maybe like I'm a 2-year-old to me.
No, that's good. I would say this, Brendan, like most teams and most defensive systems are 80% the same, like where everybody folds two after a tackle, how everyone sets 10, 20, 30, all that is the same. Where there's a difference in defensive systems is what do you do when your numbers down? So the up and out system is I look up and they've got 6 attackers, we are 4 defenders. When 9 passes to 10, we'll go up on that pass. And then afterwards, we're going to use the touch line. So we're willing to lose territory, but make sure that they can pass the ball to the last guy, and then we'll just use the touch line and just stop them at the touch line. So we're saying we'll rather keep the integrity of our line, lose meters, but make sure we know we sorted when you get to the wide ruck. Where out and out rush defense is to say there's 4v6, like in the same example, we're going to kill the first 4 pairs of hands. If you get the ball over us, we're going to scramble to the edge. So we're going to make it difficult for you to take the ball there. So the one is testing whether you've got good enough skill to get the ball to the space. The other one gives you the space, but then they look more organized. It's a more pretty looking, more organized defensive system, but you don't make as many combative tackles because you're up and out. You're only going up full when you've got numbers on the opposition.
And as you say, a lot of teams do use that up and out because you do see it quite often in games. And I think if anybody watching would know that also the cross defense comes across, as you say there, and cuts them off, tries to cut them off in the corner. It doesn't always work, but that's the secret to a good attack, I suppose, as well. And just, I suppose, finally, any individuals other than the 2 we've mentioned, Asa and Vincent, that you're looking forward to seeing, or anything that you're looking forward to seeing in this game?
Um, I would say maybe starting with the Barbarians, I'm looking forward to see sort of what trick plays they'll bring, because you've got that mindset, and because it's wet as well, so they're not really going to get the chance to play many expansive plays, but maybe potentially off a line out because the ball is dry, they could try something like that. But whether they do little special things like throw to the front or a jump through the middle of the line out. So I think to see if they bring something like that will be exciting. And then on our side, I'm really looking forward to this. I know I've mentioned the halfback pair in the 9 and 10. I just think they bring a test level. They're not your traditional test players who are predominantly, let's say, kicking and organization, and then X Factor. They're sort of almost X Factor players who then bring the kicking and the organization. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that combo goes. Again, the front row that you mentioned, how they man up at set piece. I think it'll be nice to see how Ox and those guys look after Asenati and give him the platform to do what he does. And then in the centers, I think it's Jesse and Andre. Hey? Those are the two.
Yeah, Jesse
Yeah.
and Damien.
So Damien Delende is a mainstay, you know. So that center pairing is a mainstay. So we're expecting more of the same from them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I'm looking forward to this. I think we'll have a lot more context. It's always weird this first game, before the season starts. We'll have a lot more context on the Springboks on a lot of things after this weekend. We can have a chat again. But it's been good chatting to you, Joe. Thanks for joining us again. I'm gonna be bothering you again in the season, so be ready for it. And for you guys watching out there, thanks for watching as well. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. If you have any questions, next time I chat to Joey, I can address them. Any defensive questions as well. I'm sure you'd be happy to answer as well. So thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, smash the subscribe button and leave your comments. And good chatting. Joey, thanks. We'll chat soon and enjoy the game.
Thanks, Brennan. Have a good weekend.
You too, man. Cheers.
Cheers.